Well, good morning, everybody. It is great to be with you today. So we are talking about forgiveness this week. And when I started thinking about what I would share or what I would have to say about forgiveness, I just really felt like God wanted me to just have a heart-to-heart with you. So that's what we're gonna do today. There's so many different things that we can talk about when it comes to forgiveness and all the dynamics that come with forgiving people and receiving God's forgiveness. But I'm gonna take you back actually to a time in my life that was very, very pivotal for me in my relationship with God. And so it was probably 13 years ago or so. And I decided to spend some time to go back to my old high school journals. At that time, I guess it would have been, 7-8 years that I was reading the journals. So I was laying in bed one night and I was reading back through these journals. And if you have done that and you journal about experiences in your younger years, it's really fun. It's really easy to look back and go, laugh and think, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? Or I had no clue, or that was not a big deal. So there was, some comical moments for me looking back. But this particular evening, I remember I was laying in bed and I was reading about a time right before I had actually entered into a relationship with somebody. And I read 3 words in that journal that my younger self had written. And I absolutely lost it and broke down crying. And not just like, some tears of remembering something. No, it struck a chord in my heart so deep that I just absolutely had a big old ugly cry in my pillow that night. And I found myself crying out to God, God, I hate this about myself. And what unlocked there was that I had been carrying a shame about something that actually ended up happening. I had carried a shame and truly an unforgiveness of myself for years, even though I had received forgiveness from God, even though I had forgiven another person. There was something in me that had become so closed in and built up that I was unable to forgive myself for. And it really began a journey of healing for me that was incredible. I finally began to truly understand that even though you can walk with God your whole life, that receiving forgiveness from Him also has to come with a full freedom in the salvation that He's given me. And so it was just a really, really beautiful time, and also a revealing that if I did not love myself, if I did not try to love myself and see myself through Christ's lens for me, meaning I knew that God loved me and I knew that He had forgiven me, but it's at that point in time of receiving His forgiveness that we have to let go and we have to release shame. We have to release the pain that we've brought on ourselves. Like, that's what we do. We bring it on ourselves so much, but at times we even find comfort in knowing that we have disappointed ourselves. It's very twisted. It shouldn't be that way, but sometimes it is. And that's exactly where the enemy wants to keep us. The enemy wants to use our past. He wants to play on our shame because he knows that he can't defeat Christ. Christ defeated him, but the enemy can try to defeat us. So I love in Mark 12, verses 29 and through 31, where Jesus is being asked, what is the greatest commandment? And he says, the most important one is this: Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind and with all your strength. The second is this: love your neighbor as yourself. There is no commandment greater than these. You know, the first commandment, loving God, it is so easy. Get on board with that, to love him, to pour out your heart, to pour out, have him wash your mind. And loving your neighbor, that's something that we all know that we need to do. So going from day to day to try to be loving to people, that's easy. But I think that we can forget what he's truly saying when he says love your neighbor as yourself. That means that we are to love ourselves. If we're forgiving our neighbor, then we have to forgive ourselves. And we have to be able to forgive ourselves and love ourselves fully before we can truly, fully love other people. And so I just want to encourage you today that if you are finding yourself stuck, if you're finding yourself stuck in a place of shame about something, it may have happened so long ago or recently, that God has freedom for you in those deep places, that they do not have to stay there. They do not have a rightful place in your heart. When you have been forgiven by Jesus and freed from him, God wants to release that pain. You may need to have one of those cry in your pillow moments, or cry in the car. I've done that too. Or maybe you don't need to cry, but just let your heart soften. Let him seek your heart, that you might find a place that you need a deeper healing. And God's forgiveness is going to meet you there, and meet him there and release it to him. So I pray that you have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for having a little heart to heart with me. Be blessed, and we'll see you soon.